What hypocrisy the British government have to condemn Russia for killing spies and traitors when they've done the same. How recently, I don't know, but in Northern Ireland for sure they did, because I was ordered to murder people in Northern Ireland. And then on YouTube, the police condemned a man, fined him £800 for training his dog to make a joke doing a Nazi salute. Am I going to get done? I don't know. And I remember the days when we had faulty towers, and the guy, Manuel, he would walk around like that in goose step. It was a joke. Who took offence? And nobody took offence but the police. Like Tommy Robinson, when when the law doesn't like you, they turn against you big time, even though for telling the truth. The police are so corrupt. I found out about the police when I was working in Northern Ireland. I mean, they were stealing, literally. They came around our army barracks selling stolen goods. I think that's not against, it's against the law, but that's what they were doing. Then I witnessed them taking money off prostitutes and getting a free ride off the prostitutes and offering us soldiers a free ride. They wouldn't come into hot areas like Ballymurphy and New Lodge, but they were on massive wages, the police in Northern Ireland. And us soldiers had to live in crap conditions, and we didn't get, I mean, say, a traffic warden in London got more money than we did. But that's the police. They're so corrupt and a bunch of liars. There was a big co-op store in, I think, York Street in Belfast, and incendiary bombs had been planted. So by the IRA, we were told, by the IRA. But so us soldiers were watching, and I was watching the fire service. They were going up a ladder, and the police were protecting them. They were going up a ladder, and they were bringing down fur coats, designer clothes. The pockets were full of jewellery and watches. They'd fill the fire engine, and that fire engine would go away, and another one would take its place with more firemen, and the police escorting them and helping them. It was incredible to see the theft. Eventually, the building burned down and collapsed, but I think all the good stuff had been taken out by the police and the fire brigade. Now, the British public paid, the taxman paid £7 million in compensation, if I remember right. The next day, the police were arresting Catholics from the New Lodge area for going in amongst the rubble and trying to find a pair of shoes that, and find their things amongst the rubble. But the police never do the police. They never investigate each other. It's total corruption. I bought myself out of the British Army as I didn't want to serve in Northern Ireland under the command of Sir General Jeeps, murderer-in-chief of Northern Ireland. But nobody's going to investigate him. I mean, he's a sir, he's a high-ranking general. The police aren't going for him. And they don't go for any other policeman. Remember the 6 policemen that killed 4 unarmed IRA men? Nobody did them. The police are that biased and corrupt. This is the deep state. When I left the SAS, I met an SAS soldier who told me about 2 other murders carried out by the deep state. One was an officer and 4 troopers. The officer placed the 4 troopers in a field while he held the terrorist that was on the death list. He shot and killed the terrorist, and the troopers made sure there was no witnesses. A number of times, I would say, more than one, but he didn't get done for the murder. He said that he was self-defense. He got attacked one-on-one by the terrorist, and it was justified homicide, but it was murder. Another case that this trooper told me, SAS soldier, was that a man and his father, who was, the son was handicapped, he was mentally retarded, went to put flowers on the grave of the mother. And in the process, a few graves away, that the son located a cache of weapons. The father, being a good man and honest, he went to the police and reported it. And straight away, it was passed on to the SAS. So the SAS put two guys in a tomb. I'm saying, hellish conditions to live in a tomb for a couple of days, having to piss and shit and eat in the same tomb. And the two guys sent were with orders to execute anybody that took the weapons. A guy came up and picked up one of the weapons. So they executed him. It only turned out to be the son, who was mentally retarded, had come back to see if the weapons had been moved. So this is where the shoot-to-kill policy, it justifies why I left the army. I couldn't possibly carry out orders to murder people like that. Why am I exposing the deep state and the corrupt police in the United Kingdom? I'm saying, you got to look at my other videos where I give evidence to prove that Liam Holden, who was the last person sentenced to death in England, was totally innocent. And because I went against the system and being an honest person, I went to the CID in Durham City and informed them that the guy was wrongly convicted for murder, and they had to investigate, and I had to go in front of a police complaints commission to give my evidence that this guy, Liam Holden, was in fact tortured, and because of the torture he was sentenced to death. But he was innocent of the crime. Please watch my other videos. But for telling the truth, I was hounded out of England. I had a very successful company in England. I used to do damp-proof and cavity walls insulation. And my harassment started when two policemen knocked on my door and they said, "Is that your vehicle in the council car park?" I says, "Yeah." "It's blocking the view of the road." I says, "It's in the council car park, away from the road." And I shouted for my secretary who worked in my house. I said, "Come down, listen to this." And I said, "Okay, it's nothing to do with us. We've been just sent down here to harass you." This is the police, British police. And so I understand Tommy Robinson full well what's happening to him. And then my property got attempted robbery first of all, which I think was MI5, because I was busy writing and getting information for a book I wanted to write, Who Cares Who Wins by Nigel Mumford. So they tried to break in, but MI5 are experts at breaking locks. But I had one of these old-fashioned locks on it that new technology, they can do all new technology, but going back an 80-year-old lock, they didn't know how to get into it. So they tried to break the door, which my secretary heard, and she came down and saw three guys, well-dressed guys, trying to break into my house. They left fingerprints and they left footprints. So when the police come after my secretary dialed 999 and I returned to the house, there was a perfect set of fingerprints and perfect footprints. The first thing the police did was wipe off the fingerprints off the glass and stand in the footprints. Then, it's stupid. Obviously, the police are involved in trying to break into my house. A few weeks later, they did manage to break in when my secretary wasn't there and I wasn't there. And they stole thousands of pounds worth of my tools, really damaged my business big time. Then they arrested me one day for GBH. I had a guy dumping toxic asbestos waste on my land in the middle of the town. And I went to the council initially and reported that I had somebody dumping this toxic waste on my land. And they says, "Oh, we'll have to prosecute you." I said, "Why me? I'm not dumping it." They said, "Oh, it's your land." Well, what do I do? Go to the police. So I reported it to the police, and they warned this guy a man called Madden, who later became a councillor, Labour councillor. He was a Freemason. The building work he didn't have planning permission for. So he was total corruption. So I'd reported him and he got warned not to trespass on my property. A couple of days later he's on my property and I'm with my little son. And he was obviously getting violent the way he was talking to me. And normally, because I'm ex-SAS, I'd run away. I'd move away because I know how to fight pretty well. And it's going to be sad for him. But because I had my son with us, I couldn't retreat from the situation. So he did throw a punch at me and try to hit me. Big, built like a big shithouse, this guy. But he thought he could whop me. So I knocked him unconscious and dragged him off my land in the middle of the town where there was lots of witnesses. And I think I broke his nose, a bit of blood. I didn't try and poke his eyes out like I would have if I wanted to kill him, but I just broke his nose and knocked him unconscious. So he recovered and he shouted out in front of everybody that he was a Freemason and he was going to get me done. Lo and behold, a few hours later, police arrived at my door and arrested me. Anything you say will be used in evidence, taken down and used in evidence against you. I says, hold on, the police are already involved. They know about this guy trespassing on my land. And they said, we're just told you, anything you say will be used in evidence against you. I says, I was in my legal right to remove somebody from my own personal property. I'm saying, you can't come into my property without me giving permission. And but they arrested me and tried to prosecute me for GBH. Fortunately, I had a good lawyer and I had to pay for a barrister. And I defeated the police in a court of law because I produced my discharge book and a couple of citations that I had from General Sir Harry Chuzo and a few other generals that give me citations while I was serving in Northern Ireland. And also that my job was to, like SAS soldiers, is to take over from police. When police lose the control of a situation, SAS take over and take out the bad guys in a hijacking situation or like the Iranian embassy. SAS are trained to do that. But they were trying to say I lost control of the situation and attacked this, I think it was David Madden. But this how so corrupt it was. The Freemasonry within the police were the ones after me. A few days later, I left my home and I had a lorry, which was a company lorry, and there was 12 policemen on and around this lorry. So I says, what's happened? Has there been a murder? And they said, is this your vehicle? I says, well, it's my company vehicle. They said, well, anything you say will be taken down, used in evidence against you. Again, I couldn't believe this. I says, what's the problem? It's got a baldy tire. I says, 12 policemen for a baldy tire. And obviously, when my house got robbed, the first time I got 2 policemen, the second time I didn't get any policemen at all. So they just harassed me. 12 policemen for a baldy tire. So he's got his book out and he's going to write down my name and everything. I says, well, I'll tell you something. I said, you police are the biggest bunch of wanking, corrupt people in the United Kingdom. You're thieves. You wouldn't know a thief if he jumped out in front of you. So I says, so the policeman was getting upset and he grabbed me by the arm and he started to, he knew it was hurting me. He grabbed me under the arm, which is the police procedure, and they squeeze like hell, and they know they're hurting you. I says, you know you're hurting me, and if you don't stop, I'm going to break your fucking arm and break your leg and hit you with a stumpy ends. And he getting more aggressive, I says, you see all them guys over the road witnessing this? They all work for me. Immediately I said that, he let go and stopped assaulting me. But this is what they were doing to me in England. And then the council informed me that they wouldn't give me any more work. I was employing youth labour on a project, and they took the youth labour off me. They says, "Oh, you're a criminal, you're a bad person." Fucking hell. I just told the truth about an innocent guy who was sentenced to death in England. And I'm being persecuted. So, Tommy Robinson, I really sympathise with you. And Tommy, you're a fucking hero. Going up against the system, the deep state, and the corrupt police that are all nearly, the corrupt ones are the Freemasons. I mean, say, the Freemasonry goes all the way up to Parliament. In Parliament yourself, you've got 3 different Mason groups in Parliament. And this is what's controlling, and this is the deep state in the United Kingdom. Freemasonry, they're recruiting policemen. In the army, they're recruiting, you get promoted if you're a Freemason before anybody else. The police do the same. If you're a Freemason, you get promotion above anybody else. Even if you're a fucking idiot, you'll get a promotion because you're a Freemason. And they're all in the Freemasons. And people think, oh, I voted Labour, my dad voted Labour, I'll vote Labour. But you don't realise it's these Freemasons that are controlling the Labour areas, controlling the police. And this is what the corruption is in the United Kingdom. Freemasonry. Go on, Tommy. I totally respect you. You're a hero in my eyes. Keep the good work going, and to the police.